this is a busy time of year, and we appreciate your taking the time to be here. Next Tuesday, December 11th, we will be presenting this progress report to the town to give the townspeople an opportunity to ask questions and give their input. Tonight's meeting was planned to give the members of the boards of Selectmen, Finance, and Education a sneak preview of next week's presentation. Just to bring you up to date on the progress since last spring. Immediately following the referendum in April, this committee went to work on the process of hiring an architect. A request for qualifications was written and advertised, and 15 firms submitted their approvals, or their proposals. We then interviewed 6 firms, and after a long but rewarding process, Newman Architects of New Haven was chosen to design the new Morgan School. Newman is an award-winning design firm, large enough to have a national reputation and provide the staff we need for this size project, yet small enough to provide the personal service our committee was looking for. It has a great deal of experience in designing educational facilities. Also in July, the committee completed the same process to choose a construction manager. While it was a very difficult decision, we believe we have made another excellent choice in FIP Construction. Located in Farmington, Connecticut, they are a regional company with extensive experience in school construction. Like Newman, it is the right size company for our project. They have completed the Tolland High School, Avon High School, and projects at Quinnipiac and Yukon, to name a few. The president of the company, Bill Harding, has been leading their team and is here tonight to answer your questions. We are currently in the process of adding an owner's rep and a commissioning agent to our team. I would like to bring to everyone's attention the time and effort our school administrators have put into this project. They should be commended for adding a major building project to their already crowded plate and tremendous workloads. Thank you, guys. Now I'd like to introduce Richard Monday from Newman Architects. Richard is a principal in the firm and has been very responsive to our needs. He is joined tonight by Brooks Fisher to explain the work done to date and to show the designs we are working on. Following the presentation, we will open the floor to questions from board members.
Thank you. Thanks very much. This has been a wonderful opportunity for us. As Jerry very kindly said, we have, as a firm, had a lot of experience designing schools. It's not often that we have the opportunity to work on a school like this. It is a product, as a concept, of a great deal of work and a great deal of thought and insight into what a school could be in Clinton. I'm referring to the work that was done for the referendum. It was very, 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 very good, impressive work. The other aspect of this that is very striking is the extraordinary site that has been purchased for this new school. It's a beautiful, bucolic place, or it will be when the structures that are on it are removed. Has a lovely small river passing through it. Has access to the Peters Recreational Center. It has an opportunity to be a really extraordinary and quite unique place that it will be a resource for the town for very many, many years. As we've been working through with the committee the ideas for the project, we've had 2 very strong foundations. One is the really wonderful site that is a great opportunity for all of us, and the other is the foundation of the work that was done in the months prior to our involvement in the project. I'd like first to review with you some of the goals for the project that you as a community established, then talk about where we are as a as a response to that set of goals, just as a design. Then talk. Oh, yeah, we could turn the lights on. That would be great. As a design, then take you through the approach that we took to the site and the approach to the building design. Then we'll just take a look at the plans. So where are we? There will be an oversized gymnasium, a full-size 700-seat auditorium. There will be a cafeteria which will serve both the gym and the auditorium. There will be a central learning commons, a sort of a new concept library that will serve all the academic areas of the school, but will also be accessible for use by the public outside school hours. The elective program learning spaces will be adjacent to the auditorium, where their resources will be available to people using the auditorium for drama and other performance-related activities. It will be a very energy-efficient building, far more energy efficient than the existing school, a lot more energy efficient than is required by conventional building codes. We know there's a history with the roofs on the existing school, and the new school will have very simple roofs. The elective programs will be close to the academic programs. There will be separate bus and automobile drop-off. Significant amounts of parking will go from about 100 parking spaces at the existing school to 330 parking spaces. The construction will be economical, but it will be very sound. And at this point, working with FIP, the construction manager, we are projected to meet your budget, which is a very good position to be in. Here is a view from Killingworth Turnpike of the building. Our idea is that we should try to set the building in the landscape so that it is as low as possible. So to do that, we are going to cut into the sloping grades to put the higher portions of the building of the school at the rear of the site behind the front. So in this view, there's a front door to the school at the center. To one side will be the gymnasium, which will be cut into the side of the hill with windows looking into the gymnasium from the west. And then on this side is the auditorium. So coming to the school through the front door, the gymnasium will be on the left and the auditorium will be on the right. This is a view of the school from the playing fields, which will be in the center of the site. There are classrooms in a large 3-story wing in this area, and in the middle will be the common spaces of the school, the cafeteria, the learning commons, circulation spaces, and on the right will be a second classroom. This is a view of the building from the south. It shows how the building is nestled into the side of the site, with an auditorium on the left. In the middle will be a courtyard, and these are in fact music classrooms, and then a 3-story classroom wing on the right. And then this is a view from the north. This is the view that you will have of the school as you walk from the Peters Recreational Center towards the new high school. And this is a view if you happen to take a helicopter and found it in the landscape. So here's Killingworth Turnpike, here is the Indian River, and there is the school building nestled into the side of the slope, with parking on either side. This is what you'll see when you walk through the front door of Killingworth Turnpike. On the left will be the gymnasium. Here is a stair that goes from the main floor level down to a lower floor level. To the right will be learning commons, and the view through will offer a view directly towards the across the playing fields to the Peters complex. This is the view on your left as you walk in. It'll be possible to see directly into the gymnasium, which in this case is set up for a big game with a large court in the middle, bleachers on either side. During the week, the bleachers will be pushed to one side, and there will be two courts side by side. This is a view from the same point, but looking to the right, with the learning commons in this location, and then behind the doors to the auditorium. So the learning commons, the auditorium, and to the right, the gymnasium will all be accessible from the front door. This is a view of in the learning commons, which will be set up as really as a new concept, learning environment and media center for the school. This is a view on the lower level, and it shows the gymnasium on the right with stairs going up to the main level of the school. This is the front door, so from at this point here, so coming from the lower level of the school, coming inside, there will be a view up to the front door. So everyone coming to the school will come to the same place, whether they come in at the lower level or come in at the upper level. And then this is a view of the cafeteria. You can see here that there will be a view to the outdoors with the stairs over here that go up to the main level of the building. Just beyond here will be the access to the gymnasium. Another site. This red line shows what Clinton will have in the way of a community learning and recreational complex. The Joel School, this location, the Peters complex here, and then the new school site. We think this is a wonderful opportunity for Clinton to bring those resources together at one address. The opportunities for being able to leverage the value of the school, the high school, and leverage the value of the complex, the Peters complex, will be of enormous value to Clinton. This is the way we plan to develop the design on the school property so that this can occur. We want to distribute the parking at the school so that it becomes accessible to the Peters complex. We would like to put parking on the perimeter with pedestrians in the middle, create a continuity of the fields between the high school and the Peters Recreation Center, and also have view corridors from the high school to Peters, so that as people use the facility, they are aware that they're part of something larger. And then we want to reinforce pedestrian connections between the two spaces. So this is how we plan to accomplish that. Here is Killingworth Turnpike. Here's the Indian River. We propose to locate the building on the western side of the site by Killingworth Turnpike, with parking on the north and the south, so that this parking is closer to the Peters complex. But in general, the parking is distributed, so as many parking spaces as possible are closer to the building. This is a better arrangement, we believe, than trying to aggregate the parking in one location. Then we will be proposing a ring of driveways around the building so that there will be access for parents in the morning dropping off their children, picking them up in the afternoon, and a separate bus loop for bus drop-off. Now this is the high school site itself. Here's Killingworth Turnpike, the Indian River, the playing fields. There are wetlands lines here that define where we cannot construct due to the environmental conditions at the river. This is where we want to place the building. Here is the building, in this general location, parking with the the drop-off bus loop for buses, automobile drop-off loop for parents. And we can also locate tennis courts on the western side of the site. This is our concept for the building. We want to set the building as far back from the road as possible. Vehicle access to all sides. Car parking distributed for convenient access. Separate drop-offs for buses and automobiles. Reduce the scale of the building as much as possible in terms of its impact on Killingworth Turnpike. Design the building so that it supports educational and community goals, and utilize construction approaches that are economical, but also sound. This is the building program. This really is a diagram of all the parts of the building, and it's not to be counted because not everything is there, but there are different kinds of spaces in a school. There are the big rooms, so the auditorium and the gymnasium, the library or learning commons, that's another big room, an important room in a school. Administration offices are important. Cafeteria is a special kind of space, and there are service areas that are located throughout the school. But the basic building blocks of any school are the classrooms. And how we organize the classrooms, it becomes a very important factor in determining where everything else goes. So there are two real ways of organizing classrooms. One is in a double-loaded corridor concept, where if there's a classroom, across the corridor is another classroom. That is very, very efficient. It is also, we believe, a good model for education. The other common pattern is the single-loaded corridor, where every classroom has a section of corridor adjacent to it that gives access to that classroom and also access to all other classrooms. Another principle in organizing the classrooms that we have developed with school administration is the idea of academies. And Jack may wish to speak to this in more length. However, we're proposing that the school be broken up into a 9-10 academy for the 9th and 10th grade, and an 11-12 academy for the upper grade levels, and yet another space for all the elective programs. We also feel that the elective program spaces should be reasonably close to the 11-12 academy, because there's the most interaction of the kids in those grade levels with the elective programs compared with the 9-10 grade levels. So these two configurations lead to two options in terms of the plan configuration. In this model here, where there are sections of double-loaded corridor, it leads to a plan form that shows a bar of classrooms plus the larger rooms in the school located in an additive plan form. Whereas the single-loaded corridor leads to this kind of outcome, where, for example, you might have the auditorium in the middle with classrooms around the walls of the auditorium. That creates a very, very deep, efficient footprint, but it doesn't necessarily make the building more efficient, because there can be many more feet, hundreds of feet, or thousands of feet of additional corridor to serve the same number of classrooms as in a double-loaded plan form. So after much deliberation with the building committee, we are proposing and we are moving forward with a concept that employs the double-loaded corridor model as a basic building organization for the school. So if we move now back to the building site, here is where we're showing the proposed school. This is that line that marks the wetlands. Here is where that red circle is On the site, you can see Killingworth Turnpike here, Indian River over there, and this is a section through the site. Killingworth Turnpike is up here, and then down here is the river, and the site itself is a gentle slope from the road to the river. What we're proposing to do is cut in to that slope to create a level of buildings here, and one level here, and another level up there, with entry points at the two elevations, one at turnpike level, and another at a lower level. And in the middle, we're suggesting that there be a circulation space, and we're going to try to plug everything into that circulation space so that we create an economical system of organization for the school. And so next come the classroom clusters. Here is the 9-10 Academy. This is the balance of the classrooms for grades 11 through 12 Academy, plus the elective programs. They need to be close to the learning commons and the cafeteria, so we're locating them both close together, and those are accessed off the circulation space. And here you can see how that works in section with the tall classroom building on the lower level of the site, so that it can't be seen, or its full mass can't be seen from Killingworth Turnpike. The circulation space serves both levels. Because of this problem with the wetlands, we're suggesting that we shift the classroom, this 9-10 classroom, out of that zone. It's actually still close to the learning commons. It is now accessed off the circulation zone. We add to that then the two other big rooms of the program, the auditorium and the gymnasium. We need natural light to get into this space here because the classrooms need natural light. So that pushes these towards the west. So here's a section of the classrooms, the auditorium, set down from the natural grade in relation to Killingworth Turnpike. We're going to then nudge those, the gymnasium and the auditorium, up towards the circulation zone so that we create more space at the entry point. We need to add administration. It likes to be by the front door. Parents like administration by the front door. Then, so that in plan, we see that integrated with the automobile drop-off at Killingworth Turnpike, a bus drop-off on the lower level of the project, terraces, and a terrace outside the learning commons, looking out towards the playing fields and the Peters complex, and an entry plaza terrace on the western side of the school, facing Killingworth Turnpike. So here we are in plan, from the diagram to the plan. This is the main level. It's the entry terrace and the automobile drop-off on Killingworth Turnpike. Come through the front doors here into what we're calling the hub. The hub will be that central circulation space that links all the major zones of the school, both in plan, horizontally, and vertically through the levels of the school. There will be a stair that will take people who are coming in at the entry level down to entrances to the gym or to the auditorium, portions of the auditorium. We're suggesting that that edge be glass so that when people come into the gymnasium, into the building, they'll be able to see the gymnasium. That would be great when there are major games at the gym and people run out of seats. This will become a kind of balcony for spectators. Here is the 9-10 Academy with general classrooms and classrooms that will be used for the natural sciences. Here's the auditorium, administration. Then in this location will be the learning commons that will have glass and low walls separating it from the circulation spaces, but visible at all times for all people using the school. And the 11 classrooms, science rooms of the 11-12 Academy in this wing here. On the level below, on the outside, we're suggesting that there be a terrace that will be available to be used during the day while school is in, at lunchtimes, on fine days. It will also be a great place for rallies or community events on the weekends. A bus drop-off in this location. Cafeteria is inside on the lower level. The gymnasium is at the same level as the cafeteria, likewise the auditorium. And here's the 9-10 Academy and the elective programs. That is to say, construction, manufacturing, art, graphics, film, music. They will all be on that lower level with direct access into the stage. Then on the very upper floor, there's one portion of the building that will be 3 levels, and this is the second half, or the upper level of the 11-12 Academy. And these would all be general classrooms, and another zone that we're hoping to be able to offer the school collaboration space where teachers will be able to work together and also with students outside the context of the classroom. This is an early sketch of the site plan, but it does describe the concept with a little bit more information. Here's the driveway that will be used by parents dropping off kids and picking them up in the mornings and afternoons, with the entry plaza here. Parking for students in this location. This is the lower driveway with the plaza or paved commons in this location, outdoor commons in this location. So the kids coming in from buses will be able to come directly into the cafeteria level of the school, which will be here. Kids coming in to the upper level will be able to also take the stairs down also to the cafeteria level. The auditorium, gymnasium. This will be a parking area for staff and for visitors. And we are going to be able to landscape the front of the school to try to create as much of a separation as we can visually between the road and the building masses. Here's a bit of information to compare old and new. The existing school is about 145,000 square feet. This would be a more efficient school serving the same or even larger enrollment, 135,000 square feet. The new school, the longest corridor is 190 feet. That compares with the longest corridor in the old school, 280 feet. The passing time in the new school will be no more than 3 minutes. That is the length of time it will take to get from the most remote point in the school to the other most remote point in the school. That compares very favorably with the passing time in the existing school, which is 5 minutes. There are many fewer roofs, and there will be much simpler roofs than in the existing school. We have the notion that there will be a central social hub in the school where everyone will come at the beginning of the day, and it will be a place where they meet, where they rub shoulders throughout the course of the day, moving from classes, going to the gymnasium, going to lunch, going to the learning commons. We feel that is a very important attribute of the design from the standpoint of social development of the school. We have the opportunity to create these integrated academies, learning academies, which is consistent with educational principles that are developing around collaborative learning. Then there's more community integration in the new school than in the old school. The resources of the new school will be accessible to the community. So we also a very high efficiency school. There is a final view of the school showing how we organized, and if any members of the board have questions, I'd be happy to take them.
I just want, I apologize, I forgot to introduce to you, who was Brooks is with Newman. Chris is with Langen Engineering, who's working alongside Newman to help us with the engineering chores. In the back, we have Bill Hardy from FIP. He's going to be the construction manager, and facility is Hal. So, sorry about that. At this point, we would welcome questions from board members. If not, then we can all go home really early.
Has PowerPoint been downloaded to Mary's office?
No, it has not been.
Could it be?
Technically, yes, Jerry, I think that's your call. Yes.
We'll get that done for you if you'd like a copy of it. Yes.
You mentioned the oversized gym,
Yes.
and you said the seats can be pulled back and we would have two courts side by side.
Yes.
When that is done, is there any seating available once that's done?
Yeah, at this point, from our initial study, it looks like we have about 4 rows of bleachers on either side. So you have much more limited bleachers, but you would have some when you pull back.
I have a question.
Okay.
With the 9-10 Academy, 11-12 Academy, if I'm remembering the picture correctly, it seemed like the science labs in each, so there were science labs in the 9-10 Academy and science labs in the 11-12 Academy. And the two questions kind of go together, where if we have down the road in the future, we decide not to do a 9-10 Academy or an 11-12 Academy, our science classrooms are far apart. And then it seems like that also would cost more to have the science labs separated like that?
Well, it won't. It may cost marginally more, but plumbing is found throughout a school in any event. Wherever there are people in a school, there will be plumbing. So it's it would not be a significant difference. From a programming standpoint for a school, it can be advantageous to have resources distributed rather than collected in single zones. To have a science wing or a classroom wing is not necessarily the best way to plan a school. It's really often due to considerations of plumbing rather than to the functionality of the school. And this, the organization of this school is very much based on principles of functionality, of how well will each of the portions of the school operate as somewhat standalone entities.
Just to piggyback that, one of the things that this particular rendition doesn't take into account is some of the work that actually was done as late as yesterday, really looking at distribution for both the 9, 10, 11, 12 integrated academies to make them as equal as possible, so that the real differences are not so much in the number of classrooms as the nature of those classrooms. So for example, the two major chem labs would be located together in the 11-12 academy, because that's when they would be taking them. The other science labs are set up as what we're calling natural science labs, so they would facilitate more or less the same as a general classroom, set up slightly differently, so you have the advantages of a science lab set up in terms of furniture, counters, etc.
I just think there was more of a furniture issue.
Well, I think we are looking at beyond just furniture, you know, in terms of counters and storage spaces and those kinds of things.
But
A
theoretically, you
little bit
could,
different. And they could be, I mean, with the idea that, you know, certainly questions have come up about, you know, where does the integrated academy come from? Really, it's, you know, it's an outgrowth of the work that has been done with our high school of the future focus on creating schools within schools, if you will, as well as the notion of creating more integrated and collaborative working spaces among staff, so that they're both working interdisciplinary, but also within the departmental model, so that we're trying to blend both of those pieces. But part of the work that was done yesterday, in terms of really mapping out numbers of rooms and where those rooms would be located relative to the hub, the classes that could overlap between 9, 10, and 11, and 12 beyond just the standard electives. You know, much attention was done to look at how those would be situated more toward the center of the building. So world language, for example, health, and spacing off the top of my head, were moved more toward the center, so that would facilitate greater flexibility in the event that 10 or 15 years from now, you have a whole, you know,
right,
new
well,
group of folks that can really then
know that
utilize,
education is
right,
pendulum, so.
that utilize the facility or creating a facility that is as flexible as possible ultimately, but will also support and accommodate the direction that we've been heading over the last 4 years.
I'll keep my questions. So then, the electives to me, and again, it's hard to really determine the spatial, but they still, to me, seem, especially, I'm thinking this is music down here in art, or is that something that you're shifting?
No, at the far end by where the word stage is, that section would be music and art. And again, largely, in this case, more due to proximity of how the intent of using to the auditorium, and trying to create some spaces where we can now more functionally use our STEM-related programs, construction, to do some set design, to do some of those kinds of things, so they're really more proximal. Yeah, close to the stage and auditorium areas. So yes, on some level, the music class per se is, you know, visually is a long way away from
I was
the
just
9,
gonna
10
say, you can
academy.
get from that room in the 9-10 Academy into that music room in 3 minutes?
Less than 3 minutes.
Really? How do you I'm curious how you calculate that.
well,
I know it sounds like I'm being just, I'm
No,
curious how you calculate it.
well, we calculated on the basis of the length of travel and the average time it takes to move through a building. How many feet per minute does it take? How many do
You
these
have a large
provide?
backpack.
And it's an
has
average high
students
school
in your
student
way.
each person as well.
There'll be no chatting.
There's a lot of chat. That's,
But
I've
I
been working
think-
in high schools, I'm
you're-
seeing chatting.
I think the other part of that, I mean, and I, you know, the calculations being what they are, the reality is again that the vast, with some exceptions, the vast majority of students taking or entering into those elective programs on a routine basis, where they're going to be going back and forth between those in a regular classroom, are going to be in your 11 and 12 classrooms, where the 9th and 10th grade courses are pretty well locked in to core classes. Music,
But they take chorus and
yeah,
band, I mean, that's.
no question,
not a
but
different-
it's a one-shot deal. They're going over there one time a day, and then they're back into their basic mix in general. It's not that they're running back and forth all the time, whereas the identifying the 11, 12 on that side has more to do with, as they are 11 and 12 graders, they're more likely to be doing some of the elective multiple times during the course of the day.
So
In addition to music, they're doing something in technology or something.
So the 11, 12 are on the third level.
Second, third.
Some.
All of these are on the lower level. First, that would be on the first level of the
then is the 3-story classroom wing. This level will have the STEM classrooms, and then the 2 floors of 11, 12 are in this area. So the main floor level will be in the middle. So for most of the time, people will be traveling most through one floor.
So people on the 3rd floor won't have classes on the lower level. That's
Well,
what you're telling me?
they will have classes on the lower level, that's correct.
But I mean, up and down is much faster than going for high school, and it's faster for high school. And then you referenced capacity. With this, what's the sort of maximum capacity of this design?
This design is intended for an enrollment of 600 students. That's the design number. Can there be more students? I think that is an enrollment question.
Yes, and I think one of the things that we looked at yesterday again, in terms of the fact that there are, we talked about this a million times, so I'm going to say the wrong number, but there are essentially 32 general classrooms and including the science lab, correct?
That's right.
So, if you're not counting any of the other elective programs and take your 600 kids, and if they magically were divided equally, you can see that the class sizes then become smaller and could accommodate more than the 600 that we're allowing for. And I'm not doing the math in my head, right off the top of my head. But if you look at that, plus then you think, of course, we have 2 music rooms, we have the technology rooms, health, arts, the other arts. And so you take all of those in addition, and now you're distributing those 600 students among, I can't remember off the top of my head how many additional rooms, but an additional number of rooms. Now you're bringing the per class number, if you in fact had 50 more students or 60 more students, would easily be counted. I think at one point we had calculated that we could probably accommodate up to 100 more students without having it be overly stuffed, if you will.
So theoretically, you could accommodate 700 students.
I believe that's correct.
And right now we have, I won't quote you.
Yeah, we're a little under 600 right now.
Other people might quote you, but I won't.
Yeah.
And then, and right now we're at
585. Yeah.
Okay.
And the highest projection, the reason we're using 600 is, I think 601 is actually the highest projection that the state will allow us to use based on an 8-year projection out at the time of the application.
Okay, do we have other projections? I mean, they tend to be declining, not increasing, but say by some miracle, we build this beautiful high school and people come flocking to Clinton, and we now have 750 students. What's the plan for
What a
expanding,
wonderful segue.
so we don't get into the same situation we're in now?
For expansion.
For expansion.
We can expand this school. If we added another classroom here and another classroom here, we would add 4 classrooms to that wing, which would be a really significant addition in the capacity of the school. And if we added 2 classrooms for floor 1, 2 in this location, that would add 6. So by adding 25 or 30 feet to the end of this block and another 25 to 30 feet at the end of that block, we would add 10 classrooms, which would increase the number by almost 30%.
It's sort of more of a bump out,
It's
not really an addition, it's a bump
There's a
out.
little, it's not a new wing, it's just an extension of the corridor, another 30 feet in this direction.
And out of curiosity, talk a little bit about this passing from in terms of how much to extend.
Actually, it would hardly, I haven't, the answer, the short answer is that it would hardly increase it at all, because if you imagine that we're calculating from these classrooms here, would have moved the doors down to this location, would add 25 feet to the length. I think that would not be significant.
So for,
Thanks for 3.5.
Did you see that?
yeah, this is, that was based on Brooks's calculations, right?
I think he's good. I wonder, Hartford clusters of backpacks, something.
This is purely aesthetic. When you show the back of the building and all those windows, I did not find that eye-appealing at all.
The 81 side or the
Peter
Peter side?
The Peter side. I loved all the light coming into the school in the front with lights in the gymnasium, although very modern looking. The back side does not look like Clinton to me, with all those holes in the back side. It just kind of, when I saw it, I just went, oh my goodness.
You referring to this view?
No,
The one from the ball field.
there,
Oh,
There you go.
that,
This area
that
here.
does not look like Clinton. And, to me at all. And, architecturally, those windows are not very appealing to me, anyway. And I didn't know if you or the committee had looked into, or if we're even discussing, or if that's just for a presentation, or if maybe we're not in that far. But it just looks very modern and very cold and very.
That's sort of what we're looking for here too, a little bit.
Are you?
This process is, on one hand, it seems like it's taking a long time, but it's so quick, the things that are happening and going on, so.
Well, and,
We haven't looked at this for that long as well, so.
okay,
And
well,
these
that,
are fundamental plans, there's
Okay,
no
that's what I-
detail involved yet.
Okay.
I mean, it's
well,
just,
in
it's
my
way
opinion,
premature to
that
get
doesn't
into.
look like Clinton. And that was just, as soon as I saw it, I just kind of twitched. And, I think maybe something better would be put there. It just looks very, I want to say project looking to me when I saw that. I don't know.
And the project,
Yeah, it does, I don't know.
But I think
Dormitory,
the idea is that it represents as a window in every classroom.
I understand, but the windows could look better than that from the outside. That was just, I guess, the point I wanted to make. Or be broken up a little better.
We're double hung people.
We're
double hung.
And pretty windows can be opened and closed, Sally.
Is it your intent to have the windows openable?
Well, this is always a vexed question. Architects love the windows to open and close, and engineers don't like them to open and close.
And then maintenance staff would probably have a different take on it as well, so
And
that's
the
it.
teachers would have a different.
And if their
take on
teacher
it.
will have a different take, it's a.
And it is more expensive to provide windows that open and close.
They have those, and I, like I said, it's just.
That was kind of a non-answer. I'll take it as a non-answer.
It is a non-answer because it's kind of a
Great deal of that has to do
But
with
that's
the
something-
HVAC
that's
system
something
and
the
how
committee's
many
going to decide
controls
on.
there are for that
Yeah.
collective system. I mean, we are very early in the progression of this.
That's something that you'll decide down the road, what the windows
Absolutely,
will look
but
like.
individual comfort, which we may not completely have in classes now, is very important, no question about it.
But I mean,
That
I
will be
do love
addressed.
all the light coming into the building, that's very, very nice, but like I said, that just went kind of.
Well, we'll be
Just
working
an
with the
observation.
committee.
That's right, it's good input, but I mean, I think we've heard that teachers would like windows to open.
Yeah.
We have a budget that we have to try and stay within as
Yes.
well,
So you need to keep
Let me ask you a
closed.
question.
so
Have we decided it was gonna be air conditioned in there?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
it is gonna be your,
So So when would you open the windows if you got air conditioning?
I
In
wasn't.
the spring or in the fall? In between seasons? You know what I'm saying? You're either closed or open.
There are buildings that have designs now. I know when I went to those building presentations at the NSBA conference, that there are buildings that, and I don't know if the committee's looked into it, but it goes along with the green design where there's a day when it will say today's an open window day, and you don't have the air conditioning on because the conditions outside are conducive to having your windows open. And today is so there's like a red light when you come into school and it's you don't open your windows today, and there's a green light when you come in and it's you can open your windows today. So there's all kinds of interesting things with when you would want to open windows.
Well, I mean, we have air conditioning at home, there are certain days
Sometimes
when
you
we
still
open
open
windows.
exactly, and you don't want to run the air.
I think you don't abide by that.
Air conditioning, sorry.
Right. Oh, yeah, right.
That's the only concern.
You cut down on your electricity,
Yeah.
Every cabinet is a problem.
Any other thoughts on this?
and it cuts down on your electricity.
It's like part of the green building initiative.
Well, just, for my part, I just think it's great progress.
Yes.
It's good to see what you've done and how you've done it, and utilizing the land that's available to us, and understanding that it's conceptual. There's a lot of detail, the devil's in the details always, of course, but just very exciting, very exciting. Commend the committee and the architects.
Thank you. We're excited about it too. We think it's going in great places. Thanks.
But I certainly appreciate my fellow board members for having the opportunity to see this. It's
No, I
really,
definitely. And the
it's
front
very
is so
hard to
much more
conceptualize.
aesthetically pleasing than what
Then the last meeting before
Yes,
ended.
yeah.
it really is.
And I think it's so exciting to see, being able to walk in the front of the building and the views that you're gonna be able to see through the back of the building. That's exciting.
The
That was
campus
really changed.
idea is,
That's what it really sold me, was seeing the indoor views and how nice it
well,
would be.
the front looks dramatically different and it's not that last box.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Those boxes scared us.
Which is, it's important. I mean, there are people who live around there, there are people who live across from me, and so I appreciate, no, I agree with that, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll echo what Deb said. I really like the use of the property and how it's gonna tie into Peters. And I think it looks great. You guys have done amazing work. I've got much longer time. And Jack, I'm just glad that you mentioned high school of the future, because I was involved in that committee and we worked hard.
Oh, that's right.
And I am seeing that a lot of what we talked about is being brought here. And in that respect, we were talking about using the old school, and we were trying to fit technology into it, and these concepts of academies and community-centric education. And now with the clean slate, you're able to do that, and I just like so much that all that time we spent talking about those things really came to this.
How much coordination has there been with our IT people, our technology people with regard to this development?
We have had discussions with them. You're talking about IT. Yes. Did I hear you correctly?
We're
The
talking,
IT,
yes,
yes,
we're talking about our
we've
information
been-
technology people.
We've been in discussions with them. So it's part of the program, but we're at a point at this now where the kind of input that they will have is not yet relevant. And we're still pushing around the rooms and deciding what the building should look like. So a lot of the program information that we have regarding information technology will get plugged in later in the process.
Are you asking about the technology for the classroom spaces or the town technology?
In totality. I mean, one of the things that was used to sell this new building is that there was a great emphasis now on the new technologies that are available and will be employed.
So it's
The
for the classroom.
information I have, nobody's even really talking to our IT people.
I don't know, maybe Jack can talk to that, because the architects have been meeting with school personnel for several months, actually, from the beginning. And so it's been 3 or 4 months, so I'm sure conversations have been going on as far as technology as well. Maybe Jack.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is question, I guess. They've been involved right from the beginning with, as with all staff in the initial phases. And they played a huge role in the conversation about what needs to be able to happen in this kind of structure. But I think to Richard's point is that right now we're looking at structural elements that need to be included along with their space. But in terms of the internal stuff, as it comes, there will be more involved in that process as well. But structurally, the main concepts of what are going to have to occur here, they've already had those conversations with our tech folks, with John and with Ed and our folks here on the tech.
I think you ought to have a conversation with them.
Well, I certainly will, but.
Because as far as I'm concerned, and from the conversations I've had, nothing really has transpired.
Okay, well, I meet with them once a week. I know they've sat down with them, so.
Just saying what I think.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
that's gonna take place, it's later down.
Typically, it's part of the programming that occurs later in the process. But in terms of the assumptions that we have been making in the design, we're assuming that it will be a very technology-rich school. In fact, we were meeting yesterday with the superintendent and the assistant superintendent and the principal, and a lot of the decisions that we were making were predicated on a very IT-rich environment, and it was actually determining where we were moving walls and how we were relating classroom spaces to classroom spaces, and what we were adding and what we were taking away. So,
but that's not being done in the context, in discussions with Mr. Crowe, who runs our technology department. Was he in on that meeting?
he was not at that meeting.
Have you ever met with him?
I personally have not met with him, but I know
Brooks and Michelle.
Brooks and Michelle.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Our engineers and our architects have designed buildings of late and built structures of late that put to shame what we're familiar with IT potential. And I think it's very high on their list. I mean, all of us want it, all of us need it, all of us recognize where we're going in the future. Well, I mean, we'd be fools not to. I mean, these guys are on.
These things happen.
And we
Things fall through the cracks.
Oh, that's pretty big.
and we welcome all input. So if there's anything that we missed, we'll turn back and we'll pick it up.
Okay, it's not really a question, it's more of a suggestion just for the building committee. The website, when you go to it, still has that original conceptual design, and it says final front. If I can make a suggestion that maybe you take that down and come on December 11th and see, if you don't want to put this up there, I understand that without the, explanation of how this has come about. But maybe, come on December 11th to see what the new organ is going to look like with some kind of, because there's nothing new up there since the vote, and people are looking for that information. I think even if it's just come on the 11th to see what it looks like, I think that would be helpful.
I have the tech guys do it, absolutely, Jerry. Have the tech guys do it.
So I think that would be extremely helpful to people, since you guys have been working really hard and
It's a
listening
good
to
suggestion.
lots of comments, so I think that would be helpful.
Anything else? That gentleman at the back of the room. Well, actually, we're only taking questions from board members this evening. We're going to have a public presentation next Tuesday. We'll entertain questions from all at that point. So, unless there's anything else, I really thank you guys for coming. Thank you. We expected to be here a little longer, so if you want to come up and talk to Richard, I'm sure you're not going to run out of here too quickly.
I have one question for you, and I understand, I guess it's really that we've committed approximately $8 million out of the funding. I know $4 million's gone, but where's the other $4 million being? It's not encumbered, so where are we?
I can look at that and I'll give you some numbers after the meeting. We're hiring
the meeting.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you coming.